Little wicker.
It's all about the patterns. Good evening, everybody. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marigold. This is Thank God It's Tuesday. He's Kevin Ricca.
Wow, getting off with the start with the pattern.
Yeah,
on the
dude.
board.
Are you like in a
Let's
hurry?
go. Let's get
What's
after
going on?
it.
You haven't even
Let's have
checked.
at it.
People can.
You haven't even.
show up ready to
But
play.
you
I
haven't
like
even
our
checked
squad. Let's
the,
go.
the.
He's Tim Strachan.
You haven't even checked the thing yet.
Check.
We're gonna check it. We're gonna get rid of it. We're gonna do some credits beforehand.
You're giving me the sweats now.
I'm feeling
Jesus,
feeling
you're
good.
just
I'm
throwing it
feeling
all at me
really
right
good.
At once.
You did look
Is
a
that
little-
because we
Oh, we
sucked
did
so
it.
bad?
We did it. That's why. No, because I had confidence in the ultimate.
Nice.
I mean, it works. It's a 1 and 2.
Are you just trying to get this over
it's not.
because it was a terrible game? You just want you just
No,
like,
I'm
get
not.
done with. Get it.
I
over.
think,
I want to
uh,
rip this Band-Aid off. I thought about. I was hoping we weren't going to have a show, but then I realized I wasn't going to see.
You've been
guys.
Mr. Negative.
I wasn't going to see Rhett, and most importantly, I wasn't going to be able to hang out with the board. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I'm a fan of this team, no matter how bad it is. And then I hear Rhett, the toddler of the group over here, who has never seen winning like we have, and I realized
Yeah, call
this
Rhett
is
out.
what being a fan is. You show up anyway, and you talk about your team. You don't jump ship to the Dolphins, Rhett.
Well, listen.
You stick with your team. I'm
It's
glad
more
to
of
be
a-
here, guys. It's good to see
It's more of a
everybody.
Hurricane Ian support situation, I think, is where Red's at. Which is, it's in some respect, someone's got to root for him this week. They're all, yeah, and of course there's the Jalen Waddle comment. All right, buddy. Sorry, I'm out. I tried to help you out, but now you want Jalen Waddle on the
I'm
board.
just happy he's in an extra large hoodie, just all snuggled up. on a
Yes.
Crisp fall night with a cold one in his hand, hanging out with the crew.
Well, listen, we
You
did
can't be happy. He's a Dolphin
play a
fan all of
game.
a sudden.
It was against arguably the best team in the league, Philadelphia Eagles. Arguably. They are, in power rankings all the world over, they're in the top 3. People are going to put the Eagles right there. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but we have to spend some time on it. And my first thought is obviously, besides we couldn't, block, I didn't feel like we adjusted to our inability to block. And most importantly, I just didn't feel like Carson Wentz adjusted to our inability to block. Now, it wasn't the only thing that went wrong, and
In
Philadelphia
fairness,
outplayed us.
There were times he couldn't do anything.
I understand.
He's a good guy to adjust to.
It had to a
$300
300-pounder
I'm saying,
playing,
I'm just saying,
playing piggyback.
it happened though.
Aggressively.
He was not. Yes, he was culpable as well. I'm not saying
He was holding the
I'm
ball.
not pointing the finger at Carson. He was hanging on to them balls, but
He loves to
was,
hold on to
but-
balls, but
Can I just say this?
not in every case.
You guys we got to give him credit. This is non-football related, so don't get all cringy in the buns. But yeah, you heard what I said. That dude
What?
stands there. I want to go to battle with him. There's reckless monsters colliding, Clash
Yes.
of the Titans all around him.
He-
He just does not.
He's
like-
almost oblivious.
We all are.
Get rid of the
One
ball.
of the funniest,
Throw the ball, sir.
one of the funniest,
Sir, they're coming, sir.
one of the funniest comments of an Eagle. I think a guy who covers the Eagles said about Carson Wentz. He goes, he has an ability that once a defensive lineman gets out of his peripheral vision, he no longer is
He
on
gone.
the field.
Delete. He's like, extra man. Go to
That was the most accurate
go
description
to World 2.3.
of how he just. It's like, okay, he's done. He's off the screen.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
true. And to be
But
fair,
it wasn't every.
No,
single,
and the play calling didn't help at all. I'm
Every
like,
time,
most
yeah.
teams we play against, when a pass rush is coming hot and heavy, they get that ball and it's gone. Pew, pew. We talk about it a lot, but we're like, drop back 17 yards.
Well,
Look at the car on the left.
Play action. Don't forget the play action.
even who was doing the color? Who was
They
doing
were
the color?
smashing our ass in violently at the line of scrimmage.
was-
They were mauling us.
Who was the color?
Oh,
for
God,
that
I don't
It
know,
was,
but it was terrible.
Adam Amin
Sorry, it's
and
terrible.
If he didn't say it once, he kept saying, "You got to stop taking 7-step drops." I mean, this is not,
damn it.
At
Who
some
was it?
point
It
you
was
gotta get
Amin
rid of the
and
ball.
somebody good.
It was everyone. We were all together in this. None of us were innocent aside from us, who were just innocent bystanders.
no. I mean,
It was a collective. But let's be fair. If you're in the National Football League, and they were winning one-on-one matchups, they don't blitz a ton, man. They were just beating the dog shit
they
out
rushed
of
four.
us
Oh,
at the
it was
line of
Logan.
scrimmage.
Norwell and Trey
Oh, it was
Turner
Logan.
did not have
Norwell
good
got
days.
they got freaking
They did
smushed.
not have good days.
Our guards got killed. Chase Roulier not being there killed
looked
us. We got
old. Oh, yeah, they
smushed.
are
Wes Schweitzer He was snapping the ball. It looked like my little league team. Carson Wentz was reaching out with the left hand, bringing in an oblong snap that was off the inside of a butt cheek. It was as if he was standing up to get his ass whooped, and the ball hit the back of his ass, which I'm not sure how that can physically happen. But if it could have physically happened, anti-physically to us, it did on Sunday because we got our ass whooped.
We got our ass whooped. And
Good
the same thing.
Lord.
We got our ass whooped against Detroit too, I think.
Yes, we did
And,
physically at the line of
Yep.
scrimmage.
So that's 2 weeks in a row where that happened.
God,
And
we've
in
regressed.
the National Football League, if you're getting your ass whooped on the line of scrimmage on a regular basis, it's really bad. It's really
not
bad.
Good. It's
That is a good point about Carson Wentz, because so often we've seen a million quarterbacks play for us over the last 20 years, and their eyeballs
I
are
believe I saw
firmly
a statistic, the second most or the most. No, we have the most starters over the span of like.
their eyeballs are glued to the pass rush coming at them. We've seen it a million times because it's always been coming right at him. So I do give Carson Wentz a lot of credit.
It's like he's got the virtual reality on.
There's never
he has
more-
no idea what's going
Never more
on right around
evidence
him.
that
I
he's
love it,
not
but I
looking
also
at
hate
the
it.
line, that
Yeah.
he is actually looking
Oh, God.
downfield. Like, if you wanted proof that Carson Wentz is trying desperately to find an open receiver, there was nine sacks. I mean, he was hit on just about every single play, sacked more than enough.
He was hit 20 times.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
He is a beast of a dude, but come on, bro. You got to stop just taking that ass kick.
Throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it.
Check down,
Throw it.
checkmate, check off.
Yeah,
Check
something.
Check someone else out. Can we just do something different? 3
go of
sacks
the
in a row.
balls.
I cannot remember in my lifetime. I don't know about you guys, and it was separate drives, or maybe it was separated by a quarter. But 3 consecutive plays in a row
Sack.
were sacks.
Yeah.
I was
Not in
just
the pros.
thinking, like,
It was the last.
This is not.
It was the
Little League
last play of the
football.
first series and the
Yes.
first 2 plays of the second series.
What in the shit are we doing? Like, we're the Hogs. We
And that's
invented
when-
this
and
stuff.
that
We
was
got
the beginning.
we got
There you go.
guys. We know a guy or two.
We know a guy or two.
What? I was like, I was telling my son, I'm like, this doesn't happen at this level. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, well, never mind. You 12-year-old, you probably know more than me. But
The good news was, and there was good news,
What?
the ass whooping did kind of level out. The Eagles and the Lions, for that matter, both played different games in the second half than they played the first half. If we're being 100%,
they were up a
honest.
combined 46-0.
So taking a whole lot of solace in holding
shit.
those 2 teams in the second half to few points is it's not very solaceful, but it is a testament to the fact that teams are getting. I mean, the freaking Jaguars hung 38 on the Chargers this week, which absolutely blows me away. Detroit put a hurting offensively
There's
on the
some
Eagles
weird
without
stuff
losing.
going on in the NFL.
There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the NFL.
I
and
mean, somebody had a butt punt for
Yep.
crying out loud.
Well, the Dolphins had a butt punt. Rhett's new team had a butt punt, even though it resulted in them winning.
a butt punt.
Yeah, that was a weird. It was a weird game.
And your boy told him stay out of his lane, Sanchez.
I can't believe you just suggested,
Pretty
but I
funny.
get it. It is, I guess, and that
He is your boy.
is my boy in that scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm the butt
Greg.
fumble guy, turd. You're taking everything I ever worked for.
Rashawn Slater lost for the season with a torn bicep for the Chargers. That's devastating.
Yeah, and Herbert was out there playing hurt too.
Yep.
And
Wouldn't come out of the game.
yeah, he's a tough ass, but
All right, so the Philly games in the rearview mirror. They're the class
we don't get to
of the
say
NFC
sack a
East.
bunch? We're not
Oh no, we're
sacking?
going to continue. All
right.
He said
sacks are coming.
You had a
fast
lot
and
of sack in
furious.
there.
So
You're
much
going to be
sack.
dealing with sacks this whole entire show. I want to ask you guys, if there was anybody that stood out to you as a bright spot on our team on Sunday, can you just give me something? Give me
St.
somebody.
Just. That's the
Duron
only guy.
Payne's mine, St. Juice.
Yeah,
takes it.
Duron Payne. Yeah, he did. He did.
Early on,
played
Curtis
well.
Samuel, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
To be
I mean,
too bright.
offensively, it'd be hard to find. I mean,
And somebody's going to say,
shit.
"Oh no, St. Jude's got burnt too." Well, I mean, when they go at you that many times, and I mean, it's bound to happen. But I mean,
I'm
he
with
played
you.
his ass
I love
off.
the way he competes.
He did. He
He's a
competed
big
his
bad dude, and he
going
hits you,
from the
he got
inside
hit.
to the outside because of the late scratch with Jackson.
And when he went outside on that square in route in the red zone, he had that thing batted down. I was like, all right, you batted it down 5 times. Like, just catch it. But He was exactly where he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Jamin
He's
Davis
all right.
getting some love on the board.
Jamie Davis was flying right. There's a couple times that I was like, "Good Lord, that dude just
fast.
gained some ground."
When they tell him to do one thing, he does it well.
yeah,
Well, if they're telling him to be fast, he's
Yeah.
listening because
Well-
he's speedy out there.
go run fast.
All right. So, other than that, I mean, I wasn't 100% in love with a lot of things that happened to us, but I will make the argument, since it's week 3, I get to, that this had as much to do with the team we played as it did with us. Now, we got work to do, and there's no doubt about it. But I happen to, at this moment in time, the Philadelphia Eagles are showing themselves to be potentially the class of the league.
I take
Top
back
3 or 4
everything
teams.
I said and thought about Jalen Hurts.
Okay. I'll take that.
That dude has somehow figured out how to play this position at this level.
So under control,
mentally.
He's
smooth.
in the perfect
He's
spot.
always had physical ability. There's no doubt about that. I think this dude has taken it to another level.
He has.
In terms of understanding how to play the position.
And having AJ Brown certainly helps
Yeah.
him out. That's his best friend in the world. They're tight. But forget about that. That connection is one thing. Those two guys are on the same page. He's been cool, calm, and collective. This guy's
Yep.
a player. They're a problem. It's not an excuse.
And they're healthy.
We still need to compete. We can't be freaking down by 9,000 at halftime.
That's right.
2 years ago, we were mauling them, sacking them 8 times at home on Rivera's opening day, and Carson Wentz was taking on the chin, and we laughed at this guy, Jalen Hurts, and they've flown by us, and that shit sucks.
So
How many times
I'm going to
has
give
Carson
Philadelphia a
Wentz
lot of
been
credit for
sacked
being
in
the team
Philadelphia
that
Washington
had
games?
the more impact on this game. Their
Good.
goodness was outranked our badness. But that's not to say we weren't bad. And unfortunately for us, it's the second week in a row we're trying to make that argument. Philly's better than Detroit, but they played each other the week prior, and they played each other pretty tight. That game was pretty close, and they beat each other up pretty good. The only team we beat, the only loss that team has is to us. Jacksonville has been laying it on people. We only have 3 weeks of data here, so I'm not trying to
Yeah.
make more than a 3-week point, but
It's
so
a
far in
small
the season,
sample
that's what we got.
size that will
what we
somehow
got.
even itself out.
And
Because
these,
the Bills,
these are healthy
the
rosters.
Bills are still the best team in
Sure.
the league.
Philly is 100% healthy right now, and if that's as long as that's true, they're going to be a mess. So let me ask you guys, but let me take a detour and a segue from last week to this week,
Here we go.
and a detour to the story we've been covering in the basement here for quite some time, and the board has already been talking about it, so we can't let it go. And we'll tie it into so Sarver, the owner of the Suns, he got investigated, and they put out a report, and it wasn't very good. He was saying some bad things, doing some bad things, and they gave him essentially the Snyder punishment. The NBA owners gave him the 1-year suspension and the $10 million fine. And everybody went ballistic. And they were like, that is 100% crap. Steph Curry called.
Sack this man.
Yeah, he got sacked. Steph Curry
He
called
sacked himself.
the league. LeBron James was all over it. You got to believe the Players Association was just absolutely lighting up the switchboards. Fast forward to, it was within 2 weeks of all that, Sarver announces, well, he does it in a very Sarver way. He's a douchebag, and he was like, well, no one's ever going to give me a second chance, so I guess I'm just going to sell the team. And everyone's like, yes. So they didn't have to
Hoping
force him
people
out.
are going to be like, no,
Yeah,
don't.
They're like, oh, no. Go ahead. So they didn't oust him. He wasn't voted out of the NBA by the owners. He agreed, to sell the team, and I'm sure he's going to do very well financially.
This goes back to what I asked. What? Maybe a year
About
ago.
Sarver and the Suns.
No, about Snyder. I know where you're going. Keep going. I'll
Well,
bring it up when it's
the
appropriate.
NFL is obviously paying very close attention to this Sarver deal, and the Mary Jo White investigation ongoing, the congressional investigation also ongoing, but our faith is firmly placed in the Mary Jo White investigation. It will come out. I just can't imagine a world where someone spends a year investigating a guy like Dan Snyder, and that report at least doesn't just read terribly, right? And in the heels of the Sarver thing, you have reporters asking owners in the league, and the owners are anonymously being quoted in the Washington Post for saying, we are trying to convince him to sell. If we can't do that, we're going to find 24 votes to oust him. Not sure which way it's going to go. One owner was quoted as saying he wanted to pump the brakes on assuming that they're going to have to get rid of Dan Snyder. But other owners are saying what we've been
Did he have
saying
initials
for the last year,
JJ?
Gonna say,
which they are. Yeah,
Tanya Snyder.
is Tanya Snyder the other owner? Tanya Snyder went to the owners meeting recently, and apparently she sat in a room with the other owners and swore up and down that neither she nor Dan had anything to do with any of the emails that have been released over the last 2 years. Which is funny that she had to address it because
Right.
that was in the room. They're like, "Come on, you guys put those Bruce Allen emails out, right? I mean, you had to have put the Bruce Allen emails out." So, anyways,
And she confirmed his legs do kick from the toilet
Lou
seat.
game they do kick.
they
they
do.
just swing,
Yes, they just kick
in the wind. I do
I
like
don't know
that.
how your mind works, too, but it's hilarious.
I just because I'd like to punch that man's throat.
Our hope
And
is
ass.
totally alive on this one. This is not a pipe dream, and we've been getting our hopes all the way up forever. Kevin's been keeping us pretty level-headed, as a basement, but I've told you in no uncertain terms, Dan Snyder will sell this team. It is happening, and I've never believed it more than I believe it today. So I'm excited about that, and it
But
does
at least
tie
in
in.
Sarver's case,
Go ahead.
he in a dickish way still had to voluntarily sell the team in terms of making the decision.
Oh, I think he did it because I think the next step past that
didn't
was
we-
him being forced to sell.
Well, okay, right. I think it's going to have to be enforced because I asked the question a year ago, and Kevin very quickly and I think rightly stated after I said, "How can you live with yourself knowing you're this hated?" Speaking of Dan Snyder, and Kevin said, "I don't think he knows he's as hated as he is."
Narcissism at its finest.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
So I don't think you're right. I think it has to be something that comes out of an investigation that forces the hand of the owners to do it.
I'll buy the richest place in Virginia and then helicopter over all them sitting in traffic to go to the new location. They'll love me. They're going to love me.
I disagree, Greg.
He has
players
nothing else.
have tons of power in the NBA. I get it, but and it's different than the NFL in that regard. But
True.
the money,
If players started coming out and saying something about it, that's different.
the money is going to tell a tale, and it has started to be a factor.
The Shield has a very big hand in that, though. I think in the NFL versus the NBA.
Well, but the Suns lost their main
No,
sponsor.
I meant in terms of just
Players
coming out. Yes.
Sure, but at the end of the day, I think the big shoe that fell was their biggest sponsor. I think PayPal or something like that.
He has little shoes.
He has very little shoes. There's not a lot of film. I'm just
They don't make
lobbing
a
them
lot of
out there.
noise.
I'm
They're
just
just-
like Strasburging them right down center.
Well, if I got them, I would bronze one. Get it over here. Put it right here instead. As soon as Mary Jo gets done doing her thing.
So until Mary Jo puts a report out, and again, everyone's like, "Well, are you putting your hope falsely in this investigation?" And I just ask you, I answer your question with another question. Can you imagine a professional investigator who has investigated owners that have ultimately been kicked out of the league? Can you imagine the report that person turns in, being like, "This guy deserves to own an NFL team. This guy has done nothing but foster awesome work environments." I didn't interview a single person who had a bad thing to say about him. Hey, if anything, he should own 2 teams. Like, how many teams is a guy allowed to own? I mean, there's no way the report reads that way, right? I mean, there's no way.
There's no way. Can we just get Mary
He's
Jo?
a bad guy, but he never really crossed a line. Come on.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, exactly. That's not. It's not an '80s movie, like a PG-13. This is gonna go. This isn't all the way.
We keep it in Ashburn. Those two do a one-on-one Oklahoma drill. Best 2 out of 3, and that's how it's ended. That would be the greatest victory in Redskins history.
Yeah.
Mary Jo flipping off her back and just tackling that little bastard. Just smush facing him, just smearing him.
A forearm tackle, like
Oh.
right around the ankles,
Oh,
with
geez,
like a death twist.
Just definite leading of the helmet into the crown, all of it. Can you imagine the celebration? The shot heard around the world for us.
So this is my way, and with that, I leave Mary Jo to her work. But this is my way of addressing the other elephant in the room from this week, which we were all watching on TV, and I've been there for 20 years, and this game is not fun to go to if you're a Redskin fan. And as good as the Eagles are, the reason for that is Dan Snyder. So, the experience of being a fan on Sundays at the field is Dan Snyder's fault 100% in my personal opinion, and the experience of people like Rhett, although I'd like to see him stick it out a little bit longer than 3 weeks. Dan Snyder has turned off a ton of football fans in this area. Kevin, way to hold back them feels.
Jack did build it.
Oh, Jack, the building was built by Jack, but
In the location.
the destruction of the brand,
the exoskeleton.
Yeah.
The exoskeleton was built by Jack.
it was painted. By the way,
The devil's soul was implemented
Yes.
by Daniel Snyder.
so I was there. I'm sure you guys were too at some point when it first opened, that 96, 97 season, somewhere right around in there. It was a
It
big
was 97.
hulk of concrete. There was no painting,
it was
nothing. It was like it would look like a DC government
Concrete,
building.
mortar, and some.
That's it.
Some metal.
Yeah.
You didn't even know if it was iron. To be honest.
I mean, and we're seeing it fall apart, by the
Oh,
second.
what a shit! What a piece of shit.
So on the NFL Network, right
we're
before
gonna
the
get a
season
moat.
started, they were running a 98 game, I think, or a 99 game. I think it was a 99 game because I think Brad Johnson and Larry Sanders were playing. And it was the one thing that Dan Snyder did, and one of the reasons why I was initially happy about what he, in addition to being aggressive and signing free agents, he put a couple $1 million into making the place look like not a big block of concrete. You know what I mean? And from there, he destroyed our entire brand.
Right.
And it was just, I just remember seeing it in person, and then I was watching this game, and I was like, oh my God, do you remember? You remember when it looked like that, and all the seats were there, and it was we were winning.
Yeah.
Brad.
And to be fair, Gus Rott did headbutt the stadium, causing us to tie. You were there.
It was the opener. I was there. It was the opener, like 99 versus the Cowboys. God, that was a tough game to watch over
Reggie.
again. Yep. And OT, the
damn.
walk-off. All right, how about this? How about this?
Sack.
We're getting rid
Sack.
we're sacking Dan
Sack.
Do
Snyder.
you remember how many times we sacked Carson Wentz in that game?
8.
8. So that's 19 sacks in games that Carson Wentz has played for Philadelphia and or West.
We only got it
How are
9
you?
times this
yeah,
week.
what's your?
Oh,
what-
wait, no, I thought it was
We didn't
11.
get a dime bag.
thought it was
We got that 9
still.
sack. It was that 9 sack.
We got the 9
hey,
sack.
I'm a little bit short. Let me get you Tuesday. Let me hang on to that 9 sack. I mean, T, speaking of sacks, I haven't seen that many sacks since I saw you jetting out of the dispensary the first time. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I thought we were open for this. I thought this is what we were open for
He
tonight.
has a whole sheet of these guys. Of these.
No, I don't. I did write, since Pete Sampras was followed by Matt Seal, who acquired a ball boy job at Wimbledon. Haven't seen someone hold on to that many balls for so long.
He would have been a great ball boy, by the way. Matt Seal at the U.S. Open. That, by the way, would be amazing. I hope, Matt, you're watching tonight and know that the dream lives. You can still apply for that
I
gig.
mean, there's plenty of sacks at a Manor foursome with the Donnelly group as well in the
Ooh.
post-round sauna.
That's right.
I mean, it's fair, but still a lot of sack. More than I bargained for
The
on
old-
a weekly basis.
These things
old
are
dolphin.
actually written down.
No, that wasn't written down.
No,
I
but
just
there
looked
are
at I just
some.
looked at Red over there.
There are some.
I wrote down sack lunch because remember when the McClintons and us would
Yeah.
send us a bunch of stuff, and it was like 8 hyenas and 1 poor wildebeest, and the wildebeest was fighting it all off, and the last
Oh,
second it was getting
God.
tired, and the hyena snuck up from the back and just chomped that whole thing off and took off running.
And then
with a
the-
sack
and then the
lunch,
wildebeest
and it was
just sat
called
down.
sack lunch, and the wildebeest went down, and the McClintons were like, wow, "Bro, why did you send me that?" And
I
was
would.
like,
I'd never
I
want to
didn't
see it
know.
again.
I thought that everyone would think it would be interesting.
Oh my gosh.
And by the way, I chuckled at sack lunch. I wasn't watching the aftermath when the sack lunch was dropped. Half the sack lunch was dropped on the desert floor. So, I mean, but
we're
to
not
be
going to
fair,
get. We're not going to get any thumbs up on
that's
the sack
how I
lunch.
felt Sunday. I felt like someone
Okay.
took my sack lunch.
Yeah.
It was my sack lunch. I made it myself.
I want to remind everybody to subscribe. On that note, to First Amendment Sports, hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And if you hear a sack reference that tickles your funny bone,
It tickles. This ain't the
If
hacky
it-
reference.
if it's
We're talking
tickles,
about the more of the sack lunch,
give
less
us a
of
thumbs
the
up.
hacky.
Just click on the thumbs up. Hey,
some hold
who's
it.
going to hurt? Not going to hurt anybody.
Ken tickles it.
We don't even know what happens. There we
each
go.
his own.
Someone, whoever just clicked the like button, let us know how it works out for
Exactly.
you in your life.
It was like watching Ken try and help the neighbor's Great Dane into the back seat. Mm-hmm. Tons of
That was
Just a
weird.
lot, yes.
well, ball holding and sack.
yes.
I think it covered
And-
both. It covered both. So,
the
and thank
key-
God. I mean, Great Danes these days they only last like 5-6 years. It's a tough one.
That one lasted about 5 minutes.
I mean, after seeing what you did to it, I can't imagine it
What
Never
is
mind.
the over-under, Greg? Robert Cohen wants to know.
on sacks this
On-
week. Because unfortunately,
Yeah.
they get the most sacks, and Carson gets sacked the most. So, I did write this one down though. Do you guys know that previous to the term sack, the term dump was used in the NFL?
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes. But
It was called a dump.
The NFL Statistical Office referred to all sacks as dumping the passer and didn't
Yep.
start determining who the player was that caused that and had the loss of yardage until 82. But
Well, I don't
from
know. What would you have
61
more
to
fun
82,
with?
they were
Yep.
called dumps.
and
So,
Deacon Jones
Could
was
you
like
do more-
unofficially.
well, two people also, Deacon Jones and Marv Levy says it was George Allen
Yeah.
saying that Craig Morton, before we play him, we're going to put him in the sack. Like, I was like, come on, Marv Levy, like, come up with something better. Because, yes, Deacon Jones said it was like a city felt when it got sacked.
Yeah.
How about this? Marv Levy, George Allen, and Deacon are all involved with us.
Yes.
Bruce Smith is the all-time sack master,
He is.
200. We had Dexter Manley, and they were sacking the shit out of us last
And Ryan
weekend.
Kerrigan, if we're being
I know. Well, Dexter Manley's the all-time Redskins sack leader.
correct. Correct.
I guess Kerrigan was the all-time
So you stole the-
Commander football.
You got that
blah,
one. You got the
The Great Dane thing I stole from you?
the
Is that-
Great Dane thing,
Sorry,
but
my
also
bad, man.
15. We've been sacked 15 times, and the Cowboys have 13 sacks. So it is not a good combination.
No, the sack equation is disgusting. It's
I mean,
like a humid,
it
not
is
like
the
48-hour sack equation.
It is swampy. It's a swampy
Oh.
equation. However,
Carson.
on offense, we have a few things going our way. We're in terms of overall in terms of passing yards. First of all, in terms of passing yards, right? Commanders number 6 in the league.
Yeah, but yeah.
I understand. 861 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns is
Did
good
we have
for top
negative
5.
passing yardage in the first half?
At least until the
at
end
one
of the
point,
first
yes.
first half. Yeah, it was like negative 4 or 5 yards. The 7 touchdowns is meaningful against 3 interceptions. The passer rating of 90.6 obviously doesn't mean anything when you're 1 and 2. The problem on the total yards because we have 861 passing yards. Interestingly, we would easily be neck and neck with the Bills. We've lost 100 yards from our 15 sacks, easily leading the league. Leading the league. 100 yards that we've lost from our 15 sacks. So that is devastating. And I guess the point that I'm trying to make from a scoring, passing, touchdown standpoint is, yeah, we've watched 2 losses in a row, and yeah, I'm not even beginning to make the argument that we were the better team on either of the last 2 Sundays. But, and it's a big but, hides a big sack. The
No, it doesn't. You just different
The-
angles. You can see everything.
offense
Nice try.
is fun to watch. We haven't had a fun offense to
film,
watch
bro.
in a while, and we're not officially a fun offense yet, but we have produced in at least on a league landscape level. We've got some numbers. We've tuned into so much worse in the last 15 years. I'm trying to make the argument that what we've seen, and even against Jacksonville, because it's relevant, if you put it all together, there's a lot of bad. But Carson Wentz standing in there and delivering the ball to Curtis Samuel, first and foremost, and Jahan Dotson, who had a terrible, terrible drop this week. I don't expect to see that very often. I think that there's reason to believe that we can put some yards together against Dallas, who, aside from their pass rush, has shown a propensity to give up, yardage first and foremost, but also points. And the other thing about Dallas, I'll leave you with that I was reading about today is I'm sorry, us versus Dallas. We have the most amount, I believe, the most amount of third downs made, or we're in the top 5 of third downs made. Our conversion percentage is roughly 50%. I think we're
It's been
20
good.
42. Now, our third down attempts, very few teams have had as many third down attempts as us. But I do think that's also a plus.
Well, as long as Micah Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence, and Dorrance Armstrong are not the hyenas and Carson is the wildebeest, then I think that's going to be a good thing for us. So before they can get in there and take that sack lunch, let's get rid of the rock.
Get rid of
Let's
it.
get into some scenarios where getting the ball into our athletes in space, and we have 1 billion of them. Let's not take our sweet-ass time doing it this week, because if we sit back there and take our lumps, it's going to be a sack lunch running out the side of the building, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be brutal here. You got to put a sack in it, man. The numbers and stuff like that. 3 weeks in, if it's not amounting to wins, and we're seeing losses like we saw this past week, you can throw all the numbers at me you want. Put a sack in it, Ken.
Put a sack in it.
Yeah,
Like
Well,
a
put
tea
a sock
bag?
in it.
Like
You know,
a-
put a sack. I was trying to
Put a sock in it.
Put a sock in
I
it?
put a sack in
You
it.
put a sack in
I
a
said
sock.
sack.
Then we drip it in, and then we get them?
I was trying to play the game.
Are you
But I was
turning
trying
it
to
off
tell him-
after that?
I was trying
Are
to
you
tell him
turning it off after
to
T
forget
said
it.
that?
Forget the numbers, Ken.
Put a
If
sack
it's
in
not
it.
going to result in wins, I don't want to hear it.
I'm getting. All right, I like to get it. I understand that. We're just getting a little spinny thing, but our camera's working just fine. So sorry, guys.
I think the iPhone was astounded after T tried to put a sack in it. Oh, now we get another video.
But, let's see. A-Team, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. NES Tecmo, always a pleasure. Robert Cohen, Greg Martin. Don't see any HEH tonight. Rhett Donnelly, obviously.
You know, may I say something?
Please.
It just pisses me off right now that we're 1-2 for the 3rd year in a row. 2 years ago, after we went 1-2, we proceeded to go 1-5. Last year, after 1-2, we proceeded to go 1-4. As T. Strachan so eloquently put it, can we put a sack in that?
Yep.
Just sack that. That we need to win October. We cannot sit here.
So let's look at it. Dallas, Tennessee, Chicago, next 3 games. I like our match. First of all, Thursday night in Chicago, or is that a Thursday night game?
Yes.
That's going to be fun, and hopefully it would be a competitive game that we win. I've got to be honest. Tennessee coming to town always freaks me out because they are. I mean, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year. Now they got beat up by Buffalo, but
They're not playing well
they're-
right now.
yeah, and you don't want to be the team that gets them right. You know what I mean? So hopefully, you know, we can keep them off. I did want to ask you guys a question, and I don't don't know. Is there any chance that Scott Turner and Carson Wentz come out of the meetings this week and they say, and Scott's like, hey, just hold that ball. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Bro, they're dumping their sack all over you the entire, and you just weren't moving. Like,
Yeah.
although I found it to be amazing, it's not good for the football team. It's not good for the Commanders. It's
No.
not good for anybody.
so how? Is
They've
there
got
any
to
way
come
to
together and get rid of it.
Yeah, I
You
understand
can't just
that.
sit there and just. You got to. I mean,
You would have thought that would have maybe.
I
been
know
the
we want to
answer.
spread the field
during the
too. We
game,
got to take
yeah.
our shots every now and then, but dude, we're back there just.
But what happened to even just the quick RPO? Get rid of it. Where was it? What?
I couldn't find
Why?
it either.
And it wasn't there in Detroit either.
I didn't understand that, and we couldn't get a run game going either. Like
Yep.
we didn't commit to it. It was not a great day of play calling for Scott Turner, who's super creative. But let's be honest, no excuses. These guys are 3 weeks in to
Yep.
some dynamic stuff that came out the first 2 drives week 1. They were like, ta-da! And I think that may be the best. And they were super on point the first 2 drives. But since then, it's been a bit rough. But you have to establish the run in order to get all these receivers going. And I know they're our best players, but last year our best unit was the offensive line.
Yep.
And we relied on them, and they weren't the best unit in the league. They were our best unit, and we committed to that. And we ran the ball as much as anyone. I think Antonio Gibson had the fourth most carries in
That was
all of the
during a
NFL.
4-win streak,
and,
right?
and dang it, if it, but we just can't come out here and just watch old
Now-
Carson sit there just drenched in.
Don't look at the screen,
Sacks.
Kevin. Don't look at the screen.
Right.
We played this game last week, and it was fun. It might not be fun this week, but we're gonna try it again anyways. One team this week had 21 first downs. One team had 20 first downs. Who had 20?
Well, 21 and 20 is
Pretty close.
nitpicking. I'm going to say that the Commanders had 21 and we out first down them.
So we did not we were one below them. Total plays. One team at 74, one team at 68. Who had more plays?
I actually think there's
think we had
Commanders
more.
had more plays
We had more plays. We had
Yeah.
6 more plays.
because they had shorter fields and were
One
scoring-
team had
scoring
87
pretty
rushing
quickly.
yards. One team had 72 rushing yards.
I'm going to give them the 87.
We outrushed them.
How about that shit?
Now, I'm not even going to do total yards or passing yards because
No.
it's disgusting.
No.
How about
Jalen
this
Hurts
one?
had 3+ and put 3 on us.
One team was 1 for 3. No, forget that one. Okay, how about this? Time of possession. One team was basically 33 minutes,
Commanders had
and
more-
one team was 27
the
minutes.
Commanders had the ball more.
Yeah,
that
we
was
did.
evident again because
We did.
They
Third down
scored a lot
efficiency. One
quickly.
team converted 6 third downs. One team converted 5 third downs.
We had 6.
We sure did. We sure did. So that again,
we also had more turnovers.
we got our ass kicked. So going
More
through stats,
sacks.
but
One
the time of
turnover.
possession.
We get no turnovers. I think
Yeah.
in 3 games we've had one takeaway.
it's
one takeaway.
striking.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, that's true, and it's again, I don't know, it reminds me of again. I'm talking about being a Maryland fan and a Redskins fan in the same weekend. And you're not getting the turnover bounced your way.
Well,
Actually, the Terps got a ton of turnovers. They were getting the ball out. Actually,
Yep.
and I know they didn't run for a ton of yards because they didn't have to.
Yep.
But everyone else has been running for a ton of yards, and I'm just going to alert everyone to this statistic: the top 14 rushers in NFL football, we have either played or do play 12 of them. So we might want to get
good.
that shit straightened up too.
What? Yeah.
We got Chubb, we got Barkley twice, we got Cordarrelle Patterson, we got John Taylor. So we got 5 games against the top 4 guys left in our next 14.
And
After
Pollard and
that,
Elliott
yeah,
are
don't worry
tough.
about it. We got Chicago, Detroit. We already played Jacksonville. Miles
Jonathan
Sanders
Taylor,
coming
you
back
said.
again.
Dalvin Cook.
Jones, Cook, and Derrick Henry. So, we might want to start trying to stop the freaking run and maybe running the ball a little bit on the other guys. And I know that B-Rob coming back in 2 weeks will help, but we didn't even commit to it. Antonio Gibson has been fine. I can't recall him getting too many carries.
how many
It's
carries
just the way
is
the
he getting
game went.
spotted in our bet?
How many
Gibson.
carries is he getting spotted?
Yeah, Gibson. If
Do I have this written down? I
our
got
bet
here-
is who has more carries, so how many? carries is he
Oh,
gonna
I
have to
see.
make up?
No, you're right. I don't know. We'll find out. But the interesting thing is, and I think this is just anecdotal, not necessarily a real thing. But when I was thinking about this when I was watching the game this week on the heels of the Detroit game and I made this point after Jacksonville because I was all excited. I was like, oh my gosh, you can totally see where Brian Robinson fits in because he's going to pound it and they're going to still try to throw the ball to Antonio all day long. And then the last 2 weeks, we don't get a solid running commitment from our offense with Antonio Gibson at all.
They was busy getting their asses whooped.
Yeah.
Individually.
Oh, well, every one-on-one matchup.
B-Rob, you might want to take a we weeks.
Yeah.
Get that thing good and right.
So I mean,
Serving
it kind of.
sacks.
I was
Serving
thinking to
sacks.
myself, wait a second. So we were. I feel like we were way more dependent on Brian Robinson being a feature ball carrier than we previously thought, because there is a reticence on Scott Turner's part to commit to handing the ball off. Now, Antonio Gibson got carries, and he's a big boy. He puts his shoulder down and he gets the yards that are there, and sometimes he gets more. So it's possible. I mean, we got. How many times can we say it? If you replayed every single play and you watched a different matchup between a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman, you would see. It's like best of the best. With old school. We lost. We got our blood handed to us.
It was
every
like,
single one of those.
It was like we
matchups.
played Sacramento, for God's sake. It was ridiculous. Every individual matchup, it was
Did you watch
terrible.
Best of the Best? Did you guys watch Best of the Best? Do you remember that old school movie? I mean,
I watched a lot of movies. I don't know what you're talking
it's a 80s karate. 80s, like they go to overseas and it's like
about. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's not a Jean-Claude Van Damme. James Earl Jones was their coach. It was just like amazing. I know some people on the board watch Best of the Best. Please let me know. The next 3 games. So we're 1-2. All right, and we're kind of getting sifted down to the bottom of the division and the conference. Huge game against the Cowboys in that regard. We have 0 NFC wins. The win against Jacksonville is all great and all, but it doesn't help us. It's never too early to start thinking about playoff positioning. I don't care how bad you just got beat. You got to beat some NFC teams. Going on the road, which I personally think is a good thing for us. I do. The experience at FedEx this past weekend.
So embarrassing.
It couldn't have been good for anybody. It couldn't have been good for the players. It's a gross taste in your mouth. Get out of here. Go down to Dallas.
Filthy
Get it out
with
of
a
there.
capital P.
With the absolute capital P. So I like the fact that we're on the road. I love it actually because of how bad this past week was, and I like the fact that even if Dak tries to suit up, which there's rumors that he's going to try to suit up, I don't think in any world
Tony La Russa's going to fight.
Daniel LaRusso. Tony LaRusso was the manager of the Dolphins.
Daniel, you're right. I do that.
Or
all the
Enrico Palazzo. We also would have accepted
Why I
Enrico
said
Palazzo.
Tony.
I like it.
Tony LaRusso is going to fight. We're going to be saying that from now on, just so we're clear.
God damn it.
And now that Tony LaRusso is going to fight,
Put him in the body bag, Skip.
he's got me totally thrown off. But yeah, there's no way you let Dak come back against this team.
I hope not.
Well, there's no way. You're like, oh, are we really going to let him go out there and play against this Washington team? Like, maybe we let
This
Cooper
is
Rush
the-
take this one.
I mean, if you watched last weekend, you say maybe we did trot him out this weekend.
Here's the deal. Cooper Rush looked
I don't
just
know- yeah,
fine.
I don't
That
know
why they're
offense,
gonna
that
rush
offense was humming.
With Cooper Rush.
He looked just fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a heck of a backup. He's spreading the ball around. I mean, he did.
That's just Jerry.
He's
trying to
not Dak, but
save
I know.
face for the amount of money
I get
he's
it.
paying
I get
him.
it. He's embarrassed. He's
Yeah.
embarrassed. I don't know, man.
And Pollard, we've been saying it for 2 years, why they don't give the ball to him more. He's destroying it whenever he gets a chance. So, I like the fact that we're on the road this week. Get out of here, get a win in the division, in the conference. That's the most meaningful thing.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be something?
3-point underdogs heading into North Texas.
By the way, that's telling.
I know. I agree.
That's telling. That's people saying
agree.
it's essentially an even game,
I think so.
which I don't.
But we have to compete at the line of scrimmage. We
Yeah, we
can't
do.
just keep getting flogged. I mean, we're getting embarrassed. We're getting humiliated. It's non-compete. I can't stand this stuff. How about 9 out of 19 home games that Ron Rivera's been the head coach? And I'm not sitting here saying fire him, but this is the year, right? This is the year, so it's now. 9 out of 19
Third
times.
date.
9 out of 19 times, we've been down double digits at home at halftime with Ron Rivera as our head coach. 9 out of 19 times, we've been losing by
How many
double
have we
digits.
Lost.
How many times do you think we've scored first in 37 games that Ron Rivera's been the head coach?
Not a lot.
I'm gonna say 3.
Well, 37. That would be a lot. That would be egregious. It's 11. 37. 11. 11.
Because it was like we went on a streak of not ever scoring on our first drive.
We've been up at halftime 10 times in the 37 games that he's coached.
So when we're not down by double digits, we're winning.
And in the 37 games that he's coached, 16 times we've been down double digits at freaking halftime. I can't look at those numbers and feel normal about myself. It hurts me. It hurts me in places that I didn't know could hurt. But I learned that on Sunday. And I called you guys, no one answered, and it hurt worse.
I
I wasn't with the phone. I was just calling out.
It was like,
out.
I declare bankruptcy. I forced myself to watch all the way to the buzzer. There's no other way to do it. And I hate watching us lose to the Eagles. I really do. But you can't know football
Stings.
and watch that game and not understand, at least in week 3 of this season, where we sit against the Eagles.
We got our ass
We're
whooped
not
by
there.
a team that was going to whoop our ass.
Yes. All
10
the,
times out of 10. unfortunately.
all the false. It was
That was
the
an
first
ass
couple
whoop.
drives when you're like, look at these, we're making them punt. They muff it and they recover it. So win this week is big on every single front. It evens out our record. It gives us an NFC East victory. Gives us an NFC
It'd be nice
conference
as shit, wouldn't it?
victory. It would be, and it's not homeristic to envision our team beating that team. It's just not. We're not that far. The Eagles are way ahead of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We're not that far. We're not as far away from Dallas as we are from Philly.
Let me just say this. This is the one thing that scares me. Carson Wentz is the most blitzed quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dallas has the most sacks, but yet blitzes the least.
Yeah.
So are they going to get confused? Should we blitz? Everyone blitzes these guys. Or are we just going to get our pressure with our freaking 3 studs who are all top 10 in the NFL in sacks right now?
Yes.
You got Dorrance Armstrong, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Micah, all top 10. So maybe they'll just outthink themselves and over blitz or do something wrong. Because if you're the most blitz quarterback, obviously they think they can rattle you and your O-line is a mess. But Jesus, man, they don't need to blitz. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this transpires. Quick, get the ball out quick, baby.
EO, what's November 6th? Whiskey and cigars. What are we talking about here? I don't even know which week that is. Against the Vikings? That's week 9 at home. Okay. Well, that's a possibility. That could be a good tailgate. EO, you're coming to town for the Minnesota Vikings game? Is that what you're saying? I'm just going to see if that's a thing.
I mean, what would Kirk Cousins do?
What would Kirk Cousins do? By the way, there's a lot of
Pray.
subplots. Think about this. Week 1, we play the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty much the reason why Carson Wentz gets fired in the first place from Indianapolis. We get his old team Philly in week 3. We have the Indianapolis Colts, who he recently played for, and he's going back to Indianapolis to play against in week 8. We have Kirk Cousins coming to town in week 9. There's for a team that's 1-2 with a bullet. there's actually some decent drama going on. Who's calling our game this week? Let us know. Greg, who's calling the game this week? We got to get there. We got to figure that out. I think we're actually getting a good team. I want to say
I don't believe you.
Aaron Andrews is going to be there. I saw that.
Just not a big fan of her.
I know.
Christina Pink was fantastic on
She
the
was.
sideline.
She was great.
I think she dominates. She's always great. She does a great job. I love when she's out there. Now, Aaron Andrews, I mean, I'm just going to say, you guys are going to get mad at me, but just never been a big Aaron Andrews fan.
That's okay.
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you about that.
I
why
don't.
come
I just
on.
don't.
You're in the trust tree.
I just don't. I'm never.
Oddly, you guys pay way more attention to the.
I like Christina Pink because
Broadcast
she's
team.
good. Because after she's done talking, you're like, I'm enriched. I'm not ready to punch myself in the face. And he said that last night
I
they
don't
played
think any of
Monopoly and he won. Go
None of the
to
sideline
St. Martin's
reporters
and
really
advance to
provide
jail.
much in-depth
Let's see.
coverage. They
Do
really
you listen
don't.
to it with the sound up?
I could do it with that.
Let me tell you right
I
now.
actually
Might
have
just say
not
this out
been
loud. The first half an
listening
hour of the
much.
last 2 weeks, my daughter has got a little field hockey game every week from 11 till 1. She's got a practice and a game.
Okay.
And at 1 o'clock, I leave Churchill High School. It's about 20 minutes from my house, but I have to get out of the parking lot, blah, blah, blah. It's a half an hour. That half an hour is the opening kickoff until about a minute or two left in the first quarter, essentially the last 2 weeks. And London Fletcher has been awesome. He's been very good. The rest of the radio broadcast makes me want to drive over myself as
it's
I'm
bad.
driving.
It's so
And
bad.
then back up and do it until I can't hear anymore.
So bad.
It's the worst thing I've ever heard in my freaking life. It's inaudible. And our boy, what's his name?
Bram?
So he does what you're supposed to say is incomplete pass. Great play by St. Just. He's like, it's a bobble. It's in the air. They bobble. St. Just with the good coverage. And then you're like, wait a minute. Did they catch it? Do we have it? Is St. Just got it? And they're like, first down, Eagles. Nice job by St. Just. He was right where he was supposed to be, but he just didn't make the play. I'm like, I'm going to kill you, dude.
Yeah.
Just tell me what happened and then talk about it, right? This is radio.
It's so bad.
I can't see. Does he know we can't see? I must
No.
have said it 20 times.
He doesn't know, and I think
Oh
I think
my
it's hubris.
ass.
I think he thinks people are turning their TV down to listen to him. And I got to be honest with you, I'm never turning my TV down to listen to that radio broadcast because it's so bad. But this week we get Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson.
I
which
like Burkhardt.
They're
And
actually a
Olsen's
good
fine.
team. They're actually a good
It's good
team.
as long as he talks up. He whispers a lot, but
I like that he doesn't brush his hair for this. It's pretty amazing. It's just all off, and then he just gets so intense. I don't mind that.
no, Olsen's good. Olsen's good.
And
He's
Burkhardt's always good. And you know what? Some people think he's as handsome as you are.
No way.
I mean, I've heard a
No
lot of people
way.
think that you were calling games under the guise.
I think
Kevin
you're just saying that.
Burkhardt.
I think you're just saying that.
Just saying.
I see. I understand the lunacy of harping on who's calling our games, but I believe, and we've built a whole basement subculture around the idea that the best TV that we've watched and that we're committed to watching, in fact, addicted to, because there's no other way to suggest why we would actually continue to be watching these games, is Washington Redskin, Washington football team, Washington Commander football. And I think that we're getting a professional team this week. That we get a London game, is that right, this week? I
There's a
believe
London game
I
this week,
believe
I
so. I
believe.
believe we'll be
Yeah.
tuning in at
9:30 a.m.
9:30 in the morning, Vikings and Saints, to listen to. Sorry to tell you this, Mark Sanchez is calling that game. Turn it down.
I won't be up. that
Over
early.
under on
Sunday.
butt punt, butt fumble references.
Oh, he's not
in
missing that
game.
chance. Are you kidding me? He's not missing that chance. That's why we can't listen to it. We're definitely not listening to it. We're all agreeing that.
9:30 on Sunday, I'm out. I wake up at about 10:41 in a mad dash to get to field hockey, 20 minutes away. So I should be.
His
I should be
biggest hope
covered.
is that a field goal goes right up someone's ass. Then he could
The
make-
trifecta?
he can make
Why do I
money off of
picture
it.
him just spreading his cheeks right now, right behind the goalpost, and about 5 rows up, just crossing his fingers?
Just bring it in, bring it, bring it. The fact that Mark Sanchez is a thing now. And by the way, that's a
The
testament
more butt
to.
plays brings him a sack of money.
And the fact that my uncle coached him in Mission Viejo in Little League football and grew up in the same neighborhood. I've told these weird stories
Yeah.
forever about him growing up with my cousin, and it's very strange. His dad was kicked off the sidelines and then designed and then got into a wheelchair. You know this, right?
Yep.
And they
Well,
bandaged
yeah,
him
well,
up like the cartoons and brought him in. And he got ejected again. So obviously the poor guy had a tough upcoming.
Where do you get the wheelchair from?
Somewhere in Mission Viejo, Mr. Sanchez had it in.
Interesting.
Then after he got booted from the field for yelling at the refs, he returned incognito. And
That
then
actually is one of my favorite stories.
it really is a great. I mean, to be honest, like that guy, that's dedication, man.
It is. When you come back with like a fake
yeah.
cast and like a.
And someone that was
some
actually
gauze
pushing
around-
you, like,
the
come on,
gauze
just
around-
push me.
you found a wheelchair?
Gauze me and push
Yeah.
me. We'll go Scooby Doo style. We're gonna get the mystery machine, head down to the football field,
Yeah.
and let's discover.
I don't know if that's the top Fox team now, Greg. I think it is. I think Burkhardt and Olsen is the top Fox team. The coolest thing about the way that the broadcasts end up, and this is irrelevant. So there's like a draft, right? So Fox has a deal with the NFL, CBS has a deal with the NFL, NBC has a deal with the NFL, and then you have your Thursday night and your Monday nights, and they're trying to get good games on there, but
I want to be part of that draft.
the executives, they get into a room, and so the Fox can protect like a certain number of games. Primarily NFC, I think NFC games, right? CBS can then come back and protect AFC, the top AFC matchups. So that's why you're going to see the top AFC matchups on CBS and the top NFC on NBC, on Fox, and then NBC gets a crack. They get a crack at some unprotected amount of games, but including some of the protected games. Dude, the formula is crazy, and I don't pretend to know it. So they battle each other out in this room. So Fox is going to hold on to these games for dear life. CBS is going to hold on to these games for dear life. NBC is like, we got to have this for Sunday night. Amazon is like, these are our Thursday night games. And then you have all these random. That's why there was like a random AFC game on Fox. The Ravens, I think, were on Fox randomly this week, which is why they were blacked out in our area. There's a bunch of Ravens fans who couldn't watch Ravens this week because of that. So I think that's one of the coolest drafts in professional
Yeah.
sports, like figuring out who gets the games and how they get carved up. And the cool thing
When's
is,
First Amendment going to get in on that? I mean,
Oh,
should we
well.
start up a GoFundMe page?
We just want one pick.
just one pick,
One pick.
and whatever game it is, we don't even care.
Give
what
us what
game
you
it is.
got.
Guess what game we're gonna get? A Commanders game. I mean,
I
you know,
actually,
we're gonna get a
I want to
Commanders
know
game.
where you guys stand on the Manning cast because I have actually
It's great.
absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's
And
great.
Tracy Morgan last night provided me with one of my more recent
They stole our whole shtick.
belly laughs. Absolute belly laughs. Tracy Morgan was hysterical.
Well, he's one of the funniest humans I've encountered in my ability to watch content.
The Manning cast is genius. It's 100% what the three of us envisioned when we started covering high school sports and doing games. Now we're gonna call the ball, but I like to think that I like to think we do the Manning cast in our own way on Saturdays for high school sports, and we have had some pretty awesome people join us mid game. I'm notably
This last missed call,
get out of here, Asim Penny.
11 minutes ago.
Awesome.
I'm just saying, maybe must be the league play must be starting
Hey,
soon, boys.
Asim, if you're out there, love you. We're talking about Asim Penny, right?
That's it. I only know one to see.
I was gonna say, making sure.
I was gonna say, if you have two Asims, that's pretty impressive.
We're gonna
If
get. We're
the
gonna.
second one was like the first one. That'd be remarkable.
Yeah, that seems great. We're gonna be back in 7 days. We're gonna be talking. No matter what.
Are you gonna hit the sack?
I'm thinking I'm ready. I'm just getting ready to hit the sack.
All right, all right. I don't know if I was ready.
I would
yet,
like
but
to. I'd like to do
I'm ready
a.
if you're ready.
I'd like to give a score prediction before we come out of the show. Does anyone want to lead off? And if you guys don't, I'll take it. I'll take it.
24. 17. Good guys. I'm doing it one more week, even though we got sack punch last week.
Yeah, we did.
I do not think this team's as good as that other team, and I think it's time that we did something. We got to do
Yep.
something, man. We've played lifeless since the first two series of week one, and the end of the first quarter and fourth quarter of week one. Since then, it's been tough sledding. So,
Yep.
24-17.
Good guys.
Let's go. Let's go.
T.
So I cannot bring myself to predict that the Dallas Cowboys would beat the Washington football
Okay.
team. So,
You're going tie.
but I'm not very confident rolling into this game.
You're going for
Pun
a tie.
intended.
It's a sad sack.
There is going to be a sack in the end zone that results in a
A safety dance?
safety,
Everybody's safety dance.
but somehow the Commanders put themselves in a position to win at the end of the game, 17-16.
17-16.
Okay.
Robert
I'll-
Cohen
I'll
says
dig that.
17-13 in a sack race, which is great. I'm gonna say I like the 24 number, but I'm gonna say, since you said 24-17, I'm gonna say 24-23. I like the 1 point game. We have a 30-13 win prediction from the Miami Dolphin fan among us. But what does he know? He roots for the Dolphins.
Fins up. Fins up, baby.
Fins up. God, that, by the way, that Braves Nationals box score looks terrible. There's just numbers in every box for the Braves.
Did the Nats get sacked again?
They
As
got
we have talked
sacked.
about horrible football, I've been watching
Can't stop
horrible
saying it.
baseball at the same time.
Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Again, please subscribe. We'll be here every single week talking about our favorite Washington Commander football team. And, you know, again, just to touch a little bit on one story we reported on tonight and why we do keep coming back every Tuesday night, given the absolute pummeling our Sacks have taken over the last 20 years. And this is why. This is why. Because there's some good news coming. There's some super good news coming. The news that we've all been waiting for, the news that will turn our entire fandom on its head and set the world right once again and once and for all. Our owner is on his way out. It's happening. It's happening, and it is absolutely going to change our football-loving lives. And we're not going to miss that.
Said it.
We're not going to miss that. We're not going to miss it. We're not going to take weeks off and wait for it to happen. We're just going to keep coming and believe that it's going to happen because it's the right
Yeah.
thing and it needs to happen and it's going to happen. And I'm telling you right now, it's happening. Hang in there with us. Give us a like. Give us a subscription. Tell a friend. He's Tim Strachan.
Don't be a ret.
Well, I mean, in this
When
regard.
things start to go bad, pull your sack up.
Yep.
Be a good
Pull your
fan.
sack up. Like Buffalo Bill style?
Which hand do you
And
hold
deal
it in?
with it. Eventually, if you haven't dealt with winning like we have at this table, it will happen eventually.
I'm fine. I'm gonna do it.
And when it does, it's going to be beautiful.
He's Kevin Ricka.
I agree. I'm gonna pull my sack. I'm gonna hope the Cowboys aren't wearing their sackcloth uniforms this weekend because I've had enough of what Philly had on last. So let's go down there and get a W. And I was about to say, Craig Martin, but you beat me to the punch. Before the game on at 1 o'clock this week, gentlemen, wash your sacks.
You got to watch him.
Gotta watch 'em,
Got
Rhett.
to watch him.
Fins, sacks, do it all, buddy. You're gonna be all confused, you amphibious.
Well, if you're going to be washing the ass, you might as well.
I mean, you're there.
Yeah.
You're right there.
It's,
You're right there.
I mean, take
You're right
care
there.
of it all, you know?
Tuesday
I mean,
night,
Or you could just do the old Wild West cool off and where the horses drink from. Is
the
that
old
cool?
Sacagawea.
You know when your ass is on fire? All right. Whatever.
Dip the whole
The
area in the
Sacagawea.
trough.
The old Sacagawea.
Like the original
Sacagawea.
Tums.
That's right.
Medicated pad, but that horses drank from.
Appreciate you guys. Stay with us. Be back in a week. We're still live.
I'm in with Mr. Pig. I do not want a dog named some dumbass name.
They can't
I
hand
want
me
a
that
pig,
sack
a hog.
right there, please.